Fam Mortgage Advisors, welcome to Funding Billions, episode 10. I know we just came off Sales Rally. What a fun time that was. 2022 around the corner, and it's time to pivot. So my guest today, who was also at Sales Rally and on the stage, but we didn't get that much information from her. And so I'm super excited because she's amazing. Baha Maliki, I said it right?
Baha Maleki.
Maleki. There you go. See, I told you were going to have to correct me because I'm terrible at that stuff. But anyway, Baha, you're amazing. Like your story, from what I know, and I love how you gave me a shout out that you just DM'd me and everyone started laughing. I was like, she actually does. And it's mostly all about mortgage questions, and I'm totally happy to help. So before we jump in, let me give Fam Mortgage Advisors some numbers here. And I need you to pay attention because she's brand new, like super new. Got her, Baha's license was July of 2020. Comes in, obviously rates are great, closes 60 loans for $28 million, and then took that momentum into 2021. As of today, 136 loans for $80 million. I get emails from everyone, and they're always like, I'm brand new, what do I got to do? And for me, I've been at this 20 years, right? So it's a whole new game out there with Instagram and social media. So let's start with one. How did you get into mortgage? Because I know you didn't start as a mortgage loan officer, you started as an assistant. Explain that when you started.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on. You know, I watch the show. I watch every episode religiously, and I've learned a ton. So happy to share with the other loan officers. So I kind of tripped and landed in the mortgage industry. I had no intention of being a loan officer. For the past 10 years, I had my own business, staffing referees and umpires, right? Most random thing in the world for youth leagues, recreational leagues. COVID hits, everything comes to a halt. Like overnight, I have no business. So this goes on for like weeks and months. And I'm like, all right, well, I kind of wanted to get out of that industry, and this is kind of my chance now. So I'm thinking, what's my next move? What's my next move? And no joke, I get a call one day from a good friend of mine / a mentor of mine who had given me the idea to start the referee company. She goes, hey, I've got your next career. I go, shoot, what are we doing? She goes, you'll be a loan officer. I go, okay. So literally go on Google, how do you become a loan officer? I'm like, oh, that looks easy. That's cool. And then I text my realtor. It was like 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, hey, do you know any loan officers that can take me under their wing, teach me, how to do this? And he goes, yeah, let me link you up with a couple of people. Top of his list was Ali Nayab, Finance of America, one of my branch managers. He puts me in a group text. We start texting. Ali calls me like 30 minutes later. It's 8 o'clock at night. And we just clicked right away. He says, look, I've been looking for someone to bring in as an LOA and just to kind of train them, teach them the industry, help me out. Obviously, I need an LOA. Do you want to do this? I go, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we kind of went through that process. The next day I did a formal interview with Sergio as well. They said, all right, we're going to bring you on as an LOA. I signed up for my class, knocked that out in a week, did my 20-hour course. Following week, took my exam. I think within 3 weeks, I showed up to the office to get my laptop to do my onboarding. And they're like, all right, well, here's how you get licensed and here's how you do this. I'm like, oh, it's done. Everything's been taken care of. I'm just waiting for the final license to get approved. So it was that quick. It was just like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow. So how long were you in LOA? Because I could tell your personality is not an LOA.
So I started as an LOA. I think it was like a 6-month or 1-year gig. And I was like, all right, so I'll do this. I did that for like 3 weeks, I think. And then my license cleared. And I was like, all right, well, I had already been reaching out to my sphere, my network, going back to college, law school, high school, kindergarten, everyone I ever knew in my life. So I'd already been putting the word out there. And I was like, I could bring business in. I want to get paid on the business I'm bringing in. So I approached my managers. I go, look, you guys are awesome. Thanks for this opportunity to be an LOA, but can I be an LO? I want to start making money. And they said, you know what? We want you to succeed. We want you to spread your wings and fly, but just understand there's no guaranteed paycheck. There's no salary. You might not make any money. I'm like, all right, that's fine. No problem. I'll do it. So my first month was August 2020, my first full month. I think I closed 3.4 mil. And then 2 months later, October 2020, I closed my first 10 million month. So.
All right, hold on. All right. There's no way you walk in and close $10 million and all right. So let's rewind for the LOs out there, especially I get a lot of emails. They're like, what did you do? So clearly you started reaching out to people, like everyone you know, like is that Instagram, Facebook, text, like walk me through it. What did you do? Like, honestly, tell us who you reached out. Like you reached out to everyone you know at school, your family and friends. Now, are any of them realtors or anyone in real estate?
Okay, so I reached out to, what I did was actually kind of cool. So I went back to all the people I knew, and this was like the height of COVID. There was no in-person, nothing.
Right.
So I go up and look on title, like the address or the name of anyone I knew, to see when they bought their house and see if they had done a refinance in the past couple of months or year. And if they hadn't, I knew they were prime for a refi. So that's kind of how I started. I look up title, like I ran out of title licenses after like 2 weeks, like every month.
Okay, all right. So you went and said, all right, I got my friends and family. I'm going to go look at title to see if they refinance. And if they haven't, I'm just going to reach out to them and say, hey, surprise, I'm in the mortgage industry. Let's do your refinance.
No, I didn't do it like that. I didn't sell it. It was just like, hey, what's up? Haven't talked to you in a while. You know, how's your family? Oh, I see you bought this house. I kind of transition into it. You know, I didn't want to be a sales pitch. So I kind of, you know, reconnect with them. It would come up in conversation. Hey, what are you up to? What are you doing for work? And then they'd ask me. And then that's how I'd naturally bring it up.
How many text messages you sent in your first 30 days?
Oh, text messages, DMs, Facebook. Like I got blocked on all of the social media sites for sending. They thought I was like spamming people. So I was sending so many messages. But the key was, it wasn't like a template. It was personalized to each person, right? Like each person I knew, I was reaching out, customizing something for them. So that was one part of it. The other is, you said realtors. I knew one realtor, my own realtor that I purchased with, and that's it. I didn't have any other realtors or anyone else in the industry. So,
so when you reached out to that person, like a lot of like realtors, even though, I mean, was he or she already connected with the lending people?
Yeah, he does a lot of business, so he knew a lot of people. But when I asked him to link me with a good lender, other question I said is, how do you think I would do as a loan officer? He said, you would kill it. So he already knew kind of that I was a hustler, and I've known him for a long time. We played basketball together. So he was willing to give me my first opportunity on purchases where nobody else wanted to, obviously, right?
Got it. And so when you got that first purchase, let's go back to that. How much did you communicate with the other side of the purchase?
I was nervous. I'm going to be honest. I was nervous. I didn't even know what an appraisal contingency was, what a loan contingency was. So I'm like going back and forth, asking my managers, asking my underwriter, like, okay, what is this? How long should it be? What do we do? And it was like an hourly income person. I remember I was so nervous about the hourly income calculation. So I did my best to reach out, to the listing agent. He didn't really care, honestly. But yeah, the buyer's agent was very happy, and the buyer was super happy. It closed, it was fine. And with each transaction, I gained a little bit more confidence, but the refis were just, I got my feet wet. Like I did a ton of refis when I started, and that's where I learned the X's and O's basically.
Got it. Okay. But what are you doing now? Purchases. What are you like? How are you hunting for purchases? Because now you refied your whole group, that everyone you know, are refied.
Twice already.
Twice already. That's true, twice. So what are you going to do now? Like if you've got a lot of newbies on Finance America, a lot of people were living on their refinance book, and here we go. And it's scary. It's really scary. Like I can guarantee you people's phone isn't ringing like it used to. And so I love our theme of pivot, right? What are you going to like, what is your plan to continue to grow this $10 million a month?
So what's interesting is a lot of people do get referrals from realtors. I have like 2 or 3 top producing realtors that I got in with, and I'm really fortunate, but I get the most of my business from past clients.
Okay.
So I have past clients sending me referrals that want to buy, that are coming with a realtor already that wants to use their preferred lender, but they're hearing how great of a job I did on their friend's purchase or their brother's purchase, sister's purchase, and they want to work with me. So I get a ton of referrals. I learned a lot about referral language when I started from a guy in our office, Matt Shaver. He said, every deal you close, you should be asking for 2 to 3 referrals. 100%. And I think if you're new, that's it. Like I started out with maybe 10, 15 people. From there, it grew and grew and grew and grew. And I counted the other day, one of my referral sources, who was a girl I went to college with, who I haven't talked to in, let's just say a long time. I don't even know how old I am, but she gave me, I did a refi for her, from her family and them referring and them referring. I've gotten 27 deals out of them. That's more than any referral. That's
just her a bottle of champagne.
I've sent her more than that. She's
right. You take her out to lunch and dinner and be like, listen, one, you're my friend, so I'd rather just hang out with you than going to random lunches with realtors and asking for business. And by the way, you gave me more loans in a year than the best realtor ever could give me in 3 years.
It's amazing. That's why it's like, it's not impossible to get in if you're new. If realtors don't want to give you a chance, I mean, they will eventually, and I'll share what I did to get in eventually, but you can use just clients, referrals, other people you know to get you referrals as well. It doesn't have to be.
So what do you, and this is something like, you're never going to believe this. I actually don't ask for that stuff, but I'm so seasoned, like I don't have to. And when I was younger, I just didn't feel like, hey, do you know anyone? Like, there's a bunch of like mastermind events, and like Jeremy Forcier, he has like some letter, like a PDF that he sends to the clients and says, give me the next 3 people I can reach out and tell them you're referred by me. That's just not my personality.
I don't do that. That's not that way.
Tell me what do you do? Like, maybe I could pick up a tip from you, because I am kind of slowing down. My phone didn't ring in the last 10 minutes. So what should I do?
First of all, turn your ringer on. That'll help. No, so I never do it like that. It's not a script. Okay. It's not like unnatural. It's, and this is kind of what Matt taught me. When you start out with someone, hey, you know what? I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. If we close, you're happy. You know, I'd appreciate if you tell a couple friends, coworkers, whatever it is. And then what I did in the beginning is I had them leave me reviews. So I think I've done probably 200 transactions. I have 160 reviews. I really ask people for the review, because that, when you're new, that really helps you. That's your track record, right? So I would have them go post on Facebook, hey, had a great experience with Baha, blah, 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 and get referrals like that. Or go on Nextdoor, like just go on an app like Nextdoor, go on Instagram, you know, link me in there. That works. And people are super happy to do it. It's not embarrassing, and it's not like being pushy. If they don't want to, I don't make them, but I just bring it up, and they're always happy to do it. Get them a good closing gift, they'll definitely do it.
Yeah. Did you get that? Where'd you get the closing gift idea from?
This guy in FAM, I don't know, he does pretty well, but yeah, so I stole your idea, the Tiffany champagne flutes, and it's going really, really well.
You did share that awesome text with me, and you did it. Like, I won't steal your thunder. Tell Finance America what you did.
Oh, so the thing with the realtor? Mm-hmm. So yeah, what I did, I got a really, really nice gift basket, right? So I stole Chris's idea, Tiffany's champagne flutes. I got like a really nice champagne. I got Vouv, bunch of Christmas stuff, dropped it off at her house, but I signed it for myself and the realtor, who had no idea about it. So me and the realtor get this nice text, like, you guys are the best. I'm going to refer everyone to you. We love you. And the realtor's like, wow, you did that? You paid for that and you put me on it? I'm like, yeah. So instant points with the realtor.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's change gears a little bit. How successful are you? Like you say, you DM, direct message, Instagram and Facebook, like give me tips. Like, what are you doing to, like, are you sending where you're like, hey, congratulations on your new listing, that's super cool, like, give me something. What are you doing, like, that I should be doing?
All right, so I'm going to be honest, I've gotten lazy. I haven't done it in a while, but when I started, I would go, I'd find realtors, I'd look up their stats on MMI, you know, who's a top producer, but also who's not using the same lender on every deal, who's not married to a lender. If someone's going one deal with all different lenders, I'm like, all right, this person's, you know, I can reach out to them. So what I did last year, it was around this time, the holidays, I picked like 10 realtors that I thought weren't married to a lender, but were top producers. And I just sent them gifts. I sent them like nice gifts, like a personalized whiskey decanter, you know, for the girls, just different stuff, cool stuff, like spa stuff. And just said, hey, you know, if we have an opportunity to work together in 2021, that'd be awesome. If not, just, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is, no expectation of anything in return. And that stuck with a few people. They start to throw deals to me, like some of the crappy ones, obviously, like the low FICO, self-employed, but I took them and I closed them. And that kind of got me in the door with them.
That's great. I love that. I love that. Because look, all of us got to, look, I've been at this 20 years now. I got to like figure it out, right? What am I going to do? What's my next run at getting some more realtor relationships? Because if they're never going away. And so I love it, because I look back at, like, there's like 10 or 12 I work with now, I've had since 2005, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm sitting here going, I really want to get some more, but it's changed, right? You don't show up to open houses and you don't do that stuff anymore. And I like that. I like the personalized gift and giving them, you know, and not asking, right? Remember what I said, like, you gotta give without receiving. Right? You got to keep giving, and then it eventually comes back. So I love that. Any other tips or something, that strategies that you have going into this next year?
Well, another thing that I did and I continue to do, and I don't know if everyone has the capacity, I close really, really fast. So when we were in that boom and no one can close in 30 days, I was doing like 17-day closes. And that was just kind of a result of having everything in the file before you even submit it. I mean, like VOE's in there. If it's like a remote work letter, it's already in there, credit inquiry letter, all that in there. And that's what got me in the door when it was like really, really competitive. And that's the only reason the realtor would work with you instead of the preferred lender. So that's, now that it's slowing down, I think I'm doing what you're doing. I'm trying to go towards flex. I'm trying to do some outside the box stuff that, you know, everyone could do, the conventional stuff, FHA, all that. But we need new products, which we now have at our disposal, that will kind of set us apart. And that's what we'll start focusing on.
I love flex. I think I'm going to say it right now. I'm probably going to do more flex next year than I do jumbo. Like, I really think I'm going to do more flex than jumbo right now, even because the high balance loan limits are increased, right? But I just feel my market is, I'd say 40% of my people are self-employed. And we're already getting deals that were with major institutions, and they get their 2020 tax returns and no bueno, and they're already 2 weeks into escrow. And then I'm like, well, give me your bank statement. Let's look to see what you could go. And it's going to be massive this year. I think it's going to push us really over the top, and it's going to keep volume driving in. It's going to attract realtors to us. I think it's really like, this product is awesome, and you don't have to broker it, which is like brokering. I mean, I still broker some deals, some debt service ratio. Kate, if you're listening, when am I going to have my debt service ratio without lending to an LLC product? Then I have everything. But once I have that, I mean, it's game on. But I agree with you. I think that's like gonna be a pivot. Like, I don't like leading with product, right? You don't want to go, hey, by the way, I have a product, but reality is this: we have a product that no one else has. So, or we just do it a lot better and our rates are a lot lower. So that's something like, my wheels are spinning. How do I get more out? You saw my video the other day I did. I'm going to go after the realtors and target them for their own purchases. I think Daniel was on a Flex team today call, and he was talking about that. I was like, oh, you turkey, you're stealing my idea. So, right. But that's reality. All right, let's get back to you. What's the team look like?
All right. So I'm like on the super team. It's kind of like the Brooklyn Nets, but we're actually good. So,
you mean you can win the championship?
We can win the championship without Kyrie. So yeah, when I started, I was in LOA, obviously. So I was on the team with my 2 branch managers. I've kind of stayed in that team, which is super cool. So I'm on with Sergio and Ali, who, these guys, I can't say enough about them. They mentored me from the beginning. They taught me, I'd say, Ali's my X's and O's guy. He taught me how to execute, how to close a loan, how to move everything quickly. Sergio taught me the swag, you know, how to talk to the clients and how to make them feel good about themselves, and, you know, talk to realtors and just, you know, make everyone feel good in the stressful process. So I'm on with them. And then I've got, sorry to everyone else, but the best underwriter and not just FAM, but in the whole country. She's amazing. She's my human guidelines. And when I started out, I didn't know a lot. I'd run scenarios by her all the time. I'm sure I annoyed her, but I'd run like any self-employed file, any hourly calculations by her, and always super helpful, always willing to teach me, you know, to this day. Like, every loan I submit, I'll show it to her before, hey, what do you think about this and this? Can I do that? What if this happens? So she's been huge education-wise for me, and just giving me the confidence now to succeed. Other than that, I've got a processor that's dedicated, that does all my files. And what's cool is we came in together at the same time with no background.
Nice.
Yeah, so we learned together, we grew together, we learned the industry. I stepped on their toes a lot, like, you know, didn't want to delegate at first. I wanted to process my own files. Now we're at a point where I totally trust her. She'll get the file to the finish line. I don't have to, you know, step in anymore. And then I've got someone that opens my loans, discloses my loans before the RPA, the ink's even dried. It's already been disclosed. Got a funder that, whether it's 8 o'clock at night, 4 in the morning, funds all the loans, sends her CDs out. So I'm in a good spot. I know I'm super lucky.
You got a well-oiled machine right now.
Very well oiled. We can close in 11, 12, 13, 14 days. I don't like to go more than 17, but they allow me to do that. And I realize that I get people in the door, but they get them out the door. So it's kind of,
it's a great team
effort.
Great team. So you did mention having the underwriter. It's crucial, right? I have 2, like Nick Williams and Bridget, and then also have some jumbo underwriters that we can send emails to, and they reply back, and they're like, you know, because for me, I don't even want to input the loan sometimes. Like when I got questionable stuff, and I'm like, I don't even want you filling out an app. Send me your tax return, send me your bank statements, and I can piece it together and just fire it over and go, what are we looking at, right? Because who wants to run someone's credit, get their stuff, get them all excited, and then you're like, by the way, don't qualify. And I tell people within 5 minutes, like on the call, I'm like, look, in 5 minutes, when I'm done with the call, I know if you qualify or not. Now, if you tell me stuff that doesn't really true, like you said you make 50 grand a month and you're depositing 50 grand a month, and I come and find out it's a transfer and it's not real, that's a different story. But reality is this is my success. I'm a X's and O's. I'm a tactician. I make sure it totally qualifies, and that's kind of like how I built my career. And I still feel like that is way more valuable than being the title rep out in the field going, hey, use me, I'm really good, because like I get offers accepted. Everyone knows who I am. You know what I mean? And I feel that like we get away from that in our industry. I feel like as these teams get bigger and bigger and LOs get bigger and bigger, they get away from their principles and they walk away from that and they go, oh, so-and-so will do that. And guess what happens? A file falls apart. They didn't look at it. And that's happened to me. Like I have a whole team and they're really good. And sometimes I'm moving fast and I'm like, hey, throw this in, look at it, da, 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 da. And then they'll come back and go, did you see this? And I'm like, oh, right. I'll give you a great one. I have a jumbo loan. I was going Wells. They had a foreclosure 11 years ago. Wells requires 30% down. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that product.
Huh?
I'm scared of that product.
Yeah, no, I had to sell them a higher rate. Go easy jumbo, right? But reality was the old Chris would have caught that really quick, but I was just moving fast. And it was one of those things where I was like, I mean, thank goodness we could do the loan. Everyone's happy and fine. But it was just, I go back to that going, dang it, right? It's like one of those things. I know better than this. I should have pulled that up and looked at it real quick.
It's a huge luxury to be able to run stuff like that by your underwriter. And I know most people don't have that, accessible to them at other companies. So I appreciate that.
No, I think our underwriting support here is tremendous.
Absolutely.
And I think, we get a lot of help. And, with Flex, Mike Potter is super involved and he's like replies back and you're like, hey, you're the head underwriting of the whole company and you're in there pushing and helping close loans. Makes me feel good, right? He's there, he's working, he's not like, he doesn't disappear. So change of gears.
You got to go to the LOA because you taught me on that one.
What'd you say?
The LOA.
Yeah.
You taught me. So background is I've asked you several times, I've been looking for an LOA. Once I started to get really, really busy and I just felt like I couldn't get back to people in time. I like to get back to people in like 10, 15 minutes. It was like a day was going by. Yeah. And I went to my managers. I'm like, I can't keep up. I mean, I had like 20, 25 files a month. I didn't know what to do. So we interviewed some people that had experience and I was like, yeah. And I reached out to you and I said, Chris, where do I find an LOA? And I think you said like, anyone that's good right now has a job. If any LOA is not working at the busiest time in history, there's something wrong.
It's true.
So you gave me the advice that, you hired someone green 20 years ago and just kind of showed them the ropes from back then and they're still with you, right? Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I did about 2 months ago. I hired actually a friend of mine and she's been amazing. She's picked it up so quickly. I mean, everything is so organized now. We're keeping like spreadsheets, we're updating realtors, with all the leads they're sending. We're doing all our closing gifts, or she's marking all the important dates on my calendar. It's been life-changing. I would call her a loan partner more in LOA, but you need that once you're doing volume because you spend so much time doing stuff that's not worth your time, right? And you need some help.
No, my day is really structured, right? My team helps support that, but that's like literally I'm kissing babies, right? So I'm waving and kissing babies, right? But I'm structured, right? So are you using Mortgage Coach?
Yeah. I know that you have someone do your mortgage coach for you. So my LOA just learned it and sent one out for me today. And I was so excited because I suck at it. My numbers never add up.
Yeah, no. Like I have two that could do Mortgage Coach now. So, and I'm still like, here's the rate, here's the program, here's this. And then we're blasting out. But it's just like, you have to figure it out. You have to delegate and go, all right, what are we doing here? Right. And so that's where I always redefining my business. I'm redefining my play. Like you know what I mean? Who does this and who does that? And it just helps. It helps like grow your business and it helps you like, it's slowing down a little bit, but now I can come back and go, okay, what was I really good at? What did I suck at? What do I need to get better at? Right. And that's the cool part about this thing is you can do whatever you want, right? It's just the way, but you got to do it, right? You can't just sit back and just wait and hope that things change. But that's awesome. You got the LOA, right? It's one of those things like.
Game changer.
Yeah, no, it's game changer. It's game changer. It's and
Life changer.
yeah. And the cool part is like you'll start figuring out little things that you can do, right? You'll be like, okay, can you do this? And I'll do that. And then what it does is it frees you up. And as long as you're not like going out and not working, right? And you're like, oh, I got an assistant that does that. Now I get to go have a happy hour with my girlfriends and don't have to work for 3 hours, right? That's the part where people miss that, right? Like me, I'm always about more. What can I push myself? What's the limit, right? How far can I push this thing? And I honestly think I could do 100 million in a month, right? That's like literally, I feel the team I have now, I could personally do 100 loans at $1 million a month or 1 million average loan amount, and I could close 100 and I won't go crazy, right? I feel like I could get there with the team I have now. I just got to get the bigger loans.
That's awesome.
Right. But now back to you is let's go back to this. So what is the biggest challenge or pain you're having?
So I want to go in the future because right now I don't have any, but I see it coming, right? I see it on the horizon. I'm very well aware that I got in the industry at like the best time in history. Okay, that's not lost on me. I knew that, and that's why when I started, I was working 15 hours a day because I knew like I could wake up and the rates would be in the fours, and I missed an opportunity. Right. So now that I'm kind of looking ahead, and like you said, things are slowing down. You know, our phones are ringing a little bit less, which is good for a little breather. But I'm just trying to think, what's going to happen when you go from funding 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 million to doing like 2 million a month? Like that's depressing. I'm concerned about those days and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to transition into that, because I haven't seen the volatility. I've just seen, you know, I know there's ups and downs. I've just seen up. And I know the down's coming. I don't know when, but I know it's coming. And I just don't know, how do I prepare myself for that?
Okay, I'm going to answer this. It's not going down unless you think it's going down, right? Like it's all mindset over matter, right? Like I'll give you an example. In 2000, I think it was 18. It was 18. July of 18, rates were 4.87 or 3.875. We saw rates go to 4.875 between July and December. You go pull the numbers that the people worked here. Go look at Sergio. Go look at everyone's numbers. They were bad. Like people were like, "Oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end." What do you think this guy was doing? 10 million a month.
Selling it?
10 million a month. Selling 4.875. Doing. Back then, I was brokering loans too. I was doing stuff like that stuff. Like that's all mindset. That's all BS. Like people need shelter. Okay, think about this. People are always going to buy a house. People are always going to be in debt. They're going to do cash out refis. People are going to do stuff. People are going to buy investment properties. Like you just need more people, period. And that's all it is. And so like for me right now, I haven't really had to market or go out in the field. Well, guess what? I'm going out in the field. Like 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I like took 20 realtors bowling. I got a party December 7th. I got 77 realtors RSVP'd. I rented out a restaurant. Like I'm back going, I know it's going to turn a little bit, but I'm going to be like super positive and tell these agents like, don't worry about it. We got this, right? You're with me. I'm not letting up. I'm not going to quit. Like, come on. Like, who cares if rates move 50 basis points, 75? That doesn't change that people are going to buy and sell. People are going to get divorced. People are going to need cash out. Like, we always have an opportunity. Like when the market crashed in 7 and 8, like you heard Decker, he got out, right? This guy didn't get out. I sucked it up and went through that crap. But guess what? I still was funding 3 or 4 million a month in that market, right? And that was a real tough market, but I was like, it's all right here. Like I just was like, I refuse to lose, right? And I think you have that attitude. So instead of being like worried about it, you just need to work on like growing the empire and growing your referral sources. Yeah, it's going to slow down a little bit, but that gives you more time to spend with the clients. That's all. Right. And now, like when I used to be so busy, I have 5-10 minute interviews with clients. I spend 30 minutes now. Right. I got the time and it's going to lead me to more clients. Right.
That's awesome.
So let's see here. You have a coach? Anyone coaching you? Are you doing any outside coaching from the company?
Nothing outside. I would just say Ollie and Sergio are my coaches and my underwriter, Sandy. Those are my coaches.
Those are life coaches. Have you thought about getting coaching?
No.
Okay. Do you, besides listening to me, Who else do you listen to? Any podcast? Do you pay attention to like YouTube? Are you listening to anyone else out in the industry, like out there?
No, I follow Barry Habib, obviously.
Okay.
Reading his book right now, and I follow you and Brian Decker. Pretty much that's it.
Cool. I follow Dave Savage a little bit, a mortgage coach. He interviews LOs, and like I'll go through and follow, listen to a couple of them here and there. And I'm honestly, it like pumps me up in the morning. Like when I start listening to other LOs, even though I may do 10 times the amount of volume they do, but I'll listen to them and I'll be like, oh, that's pretty good, or that's good. And it's interesting. I was listening to one, I think it was Sheila Gifford, or I don't even know who she is, where she's at, but I was listening to hers about like cost of waiting, because I literally went to the barber before this and had him trim up my beard, because I've never had a beard like this, and it was really long and gray. And we started talking about like buying homes. What do you do? And I'm like, in real estate. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to buy. And I was like, like if you can afford to, you probably should, right? And I was sitting there and I was like, man, how far do I dig into this guy, right? But it was one of those things where I'm like, I gotta have a script or something where I can come back to him and go, bam, here's your cost of waiting. And I watched hers and it was really good. And she wasn't using today's numbers. She was using like 14 and 15, year of 14 and 15, going back, showing what the value was and what rates were. And rates were very flat at that time, and showed what the person was missing out on. And I was like, brilliant. Because like everyone goes, look, we saw this huge COVID run up, and I feel like they're like, oh, this whole thing's going to come crashing down. I'm like, look, high end, I think it's going to slow down a little bit. But now that conforming loan limits are 960, 700, and people could put 5% down, anything under $1,030,000 is going to have 25 offers again starting January. So that's something that I think definitely, if I was you, start paying attention to more people, like seeing what they're doing, just so you could critique it. And if you like it, take it and use it. If you don't like it, flush it down the toilet. How about this? What questions do you have for me?
Questions for you. What is you've talked about this a little bit, but I think my goal is to get bigger and bigger and do more and more and expand my team out more and more. But what more can you do? What do you have people doing for you to kind of minimize the number of hours that you have to work, or working 7 days a week, or working nights? Like, do you have someone doing stuff for you on weekends, doing after hours?
Yeah, well, clearly you're missing some of my episodes. We talk about the weekend warrior, right? So I got a couple guys on, we rotate weekends. We just had lunch yesterday, and I'm like I took Thanksgiving. I was around, and I'm like, guys, I'll take Thanksgiving. I got freaking 7 loans, right? From Wednesday to Sunday. And I was like, you turkeys, you should have took this weekend, right? So that's one thing, is like having the team, like I need mental breaks. I cannot go 7 days a week all day. And plus I got kids and a wife, like I got a whole family. And honestly, I'm not trying to work like 80 hours. I try to work 45, 50, but I'm very, very like smart time management. I'm really good with that stuff. But like on weekends, I have junior LOs that take turns, right? So your license, your LOA, I would highly focus on getting that person, I think you said it was she, your best friend, licensed, and then potentially having her answer emails and phone calls maybe on weekends, so you can take a mental break, right? And then what was the other thing you were asking?
Just what other pieces you have in your team that you think are kind of instrumental if you want to keep growing? I mean, not now, but if I get to bigger numbers, if I get to the hundreds and million numbers.
Okay, so input. You got to have someone that inputs the loans behind the system, right? You got to have someone. So like I do all my stuff, iPad, take my notes.
Do you input applications yourself, like Blaze?
No. Input, do everything here. Send them to 2X, they apply, and then I have an input person. I actually have two, right? They get the file, they input it, run the credit, send it over to me, and build the file. I tell them from all my notes what we're doing. So then I jump into the file, review it real quick, look at the income, make sure everything's dialed in. And then if it's something I got to look at, I'll look at hard. But if it's work number W-2, I don't really have to pay attention because my team's pretty good at that stuff. Like they're like, hey, by the way, here's what I did with the income. And I'll share an email with you. I'll send you an email like, hey, by the way, this is what I did with the income. Chris, are you good with this? And I'm like, yes, it works. And then from there, I'll review it. And then send it back to one of them, and they build the mortgage coach for me. And again, I'll go through 4 examples, fire it over to the client, jump on a call with them, get them all pumped and excited, send the pre-approval letter to them and the realtor. And then I go, this gets you in the house. Now, when you need that letter, because I don't want you using the same letter that was dated 2 days ago, 10 days ago, I want it to match the pre-approval letter. Email me, and then someone's on call 24/7 on my email that replies back with the letter that matches.
Okay, see, that's really cool, because what I learned through watching your show, and I do watch it, is just kind of delegating and streamlining stuff, because I used to work like 15 hours a day when I started. And it wasn't until I was like a year in, and I don't regret that, because I learned a lot. I learned like kind of doing some processing, what to ask for upfront, what, you know, all different angles of the loan. So I don't regret that. But what I learned is kind of being able to give up a little control, which was really difficult for me, as I'm sure it was for you when you started.
Yep.
But once you get the people in place, it's about being efficient, not working as hard, just working as efficiently and building that team around you. So that was the biggest takeaway I've gotten from your show so far.
Good. And I talked about it on stage, right? When I said, man, Denise, I'm sitting there running to my office at a sales rally in 2012, inputting the loan, running credit, and she doesn't even know what our passwords and what our systems are, right? And I'm like,
that was cool.
Right? And I'm like, and that was just, now look at that, like fast forward 9 years later, or 10 years, we're going on almost 10 years now. Like, those are like little things, but I do think like people need to do like you've got to go through the grunt work. You got to know what we're doing. But once you get to that point where you're 7, 8, 9 loans a month, that's when you should double, right? Because you're having referrals enough coming in to do our 7 to 9 loans a month. That means you're doing a good job. What you're doing is you're drowning. You're drowning because you're so much into data and pushing that that's when you go and go, okay, I need to level up. And then from 7 becomes 18 loans. And then from me, 18 became 25. Then 25 became 40, and 40 became 60 one time, right? And now I sit there and go,
remember who you're talking to? Like, how do you remember all your clients' names and who was who?
Every day I look at review it. Like I go on, I got the Excel spreadsheet, I pull it from Byte, and we just go through every day, every morning. It's part of my routine. We just go through each one. And what gets hard is text message. Like if you don't save their number, and you're like, and then I'm like scrolling back up going, oh, who is this again? And then sometimes I'll email Jacob on my team. He's kind of like an LOA. He helps me with a lot of marketing and stuff. And I'm like, hey, who's this phone number? And he's like, oh, it's so-and-so. And then I'm like, okay, I better
you have to save that right away, right?
I try to save it.
Who is that?
Yeah. What's so funny is though, because I work in my office, I use my landline a lot. Like old school, I don't use earpods. I don't like the phone, like old school with the cord, right? I'm so silly about that. And so a lot of my calls are coming out and going out that way. Yeah. And so I don't have the opportunity to save them on the cell phone. But if they call me on my cell phone and start texting, I'm really good at it. But a lot of times I've had the same phone number for 20 years. So my office line. So that's hard. Anyway, but I mean, anything else you can think of? Let's just get
one more question for you. So after you close, and we talked about this at Sales Rally, after you close a client, what's your follow-up like? How do you kind of keep in touch? Do you keep in touch? Do you go back to them at intervals?
Good job. So after they fund, there's like 100 emails I go to them, right? No, I'm just kidding. Like, processor, congrats. I send them a congrats. What I want to start doing is I'm going to text them like, hey, can you do a review? But I don't know. I got to figure that out. But what we'll do
is automatically go out?
Yeah, I think there's this like the review. I don't know, the Experian.com. Yeah. I never logged on to any of that stuff. I was old school. Like, hey, if they write a review, they write a review. I just started signing up for it, but I've only gotten one. So clearly it's not working. I better do something better about that. But so no, to answer your question is, so we'll follow up and make sure they set up their mortgage payment. So they get an email. We used to customize an email ourselves, send them the first mortgage letter, and do that behind the scenes, my LOA way, right? And that was really helpful. And then they always had questions, and we just kept following up with them on that. And so that's stuff that like you want to make sure it's not transactional, like, hey, peace out, get out of here. I want to make sure they're cool. And then you check in on 1 month. And then what we do is we check in like on the January 1st, I told you I send them their closing statement. from the previous year. And then we try to do like, hey, do you guys want to set up, what are your next mortgage goals or your future investment goals, and set up calls in January because it's usually not as busy as then. And I try to just have a call with them. But we're not like transactionally going, you're out of here. And then the big thing is taxes, right? I don't know how many emails you get about what's supplemental taxes, who pays this bill, who does that. Do you get those yet?
I think I'm just at the point where I'm going to start getting them now. But to get ahead of that, now I've got my LOA. She sends out an email when we close, like, hey, you will get a supplemental tax bill. Here's what it means, and here's where you sign up for your first mortgage payment. Now we do a whole list.
You're doing that. Okay.
Just started though. I wasn't doing that before.
No, you gotta be on that. I mean, look, I literally have a review that was the guy wrote, and he's like, I think he closed in March, and it was like the last review I got, and I think it was from Experian.com because they reached out to everyone. And he's like, yeah, this guy followed up with me to make sure I made my mortgage payment, make sure I paid my property taxes, and da 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 da. And he's like, he's amazing, right? And I was like, you got to do that stuff because one is the biggest purchase they ever make, right? Or refinance. But if you just go, hey, by the way, peace out, call the 800 number, don't call me anymore, we're done, you're done, right? And so it's one of those things, like, I want them to feel comfortable coming to me. Like, I get so many text messages like, Chris, do I make this bill? What do I do? And I have no problems helping them because I actually enjoy that. I'm like, it is building connection with them. So one, like, they're going to come back to me, right? They're not going to go to Quicken or, these other places that are like, sorry, call the 800 number or hit pound and 16 for the right department. You know what I mean? And I think you're doing it right. I think you need to continue doing that. It's not perfect, but I think that's something that all of us need to do, is make sure they set up their mortgage payment, make sure they know about taxes and insurance, and go from there.
Perfect.
Cool.
Just one thing I want to tell all the new LOs out there, because I had quite a few approach me at Sales Rally and just kind of asking me. The coolest thing about this industry is literally the sky is the limit. I mean, your production is directly correlated to how hard you work, right? How cool is that? You could make whatever you want to make. There's no rule that you can't make money your first year. You can't produce, huge numbers your first year, and you should sit back and wait. Like, get after it, just come out the gates firing, reach out to everyone, just work hard. That's all it is. It's literally just working hard and having good people skills, connecting with people, things that make you memorable. I should throw in one last story because I love this one. I had a guy that I refied when I first started, and he was so slow. Like, it would take him like a week to send me each document. And I'm just trying to close. I'm like, you're so slow. Like, can you send me your stuff? He goes, oh, slow down, just smell the flowers, relax. So it ended up being like a 40-day refi. And when we closed, I got a trophy made for him that said his name and slowest refi ever. And I sent it to him. The guy loved it. He called me. He was like almost crying. He's like, I've always wanted a trophy my whole life. I put it on my mantle above my fireplace. Like, this is the greatest thing I've ever got. He loved it. And I got referrals out of like a $10 trophy. So
That is pretty good.
touches, and it's sky's the limit. That's basically all I want to say.
Baha, you're awesome. You're an inspiration to Finance America, inspiration to me. Like, you come on and threw down $80 million. Like, that took me 10 years, right? So I expect big things out of you. And thank you again for joining us. And of course, you can direct message me anytime about guidelines or programs. Don't post it on Facebook in front of everyone on whatever it was, that mortgage coach or Scott Grose's thing. Come to me first, and then I'll say, go for it.
You'll regret that.
Yeah, it's okay. I teased you.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Hey, everyone, thanks for joining. Episode 10, amazing, great content. We got another great guest coming up in a couple weeks. Talk to you guys soon.